Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two. You might think, why in God's name would you play this game when you were absolutely at your wit's end when playing Epic Mickey 1 from earlier this year? Well, I'll tell you, when I originally came up with this list, I thought, oh, if I'm going to play Epic Mickey, why wouldn't I play Epic Mickey 2? Well, obviously, when I played Epic Mickey earlier this year, if you haven't seen the video, I was not very kind to it. I had a lot of frustrations with the controls, the game in general, the length of it. A lot of the problems I had with Epic Mickey, I was very worried about what would happen knowing I had chosen to play Epic Mickey 2, but I wanted to give it a chance because I felt like, you know what, it was only fair to see if they took what worked in the first game and made it better and maybe got rid of some of the excess crap and maybe fixed some of the control. I really wanted to know if Epic Mickey 2 was the game I wanted Epic Mickey 1 to be. So what did I think? Where do I stand with Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two? Well, I'll tell you, this game is miles better than Epic Mickey 1. But this game has its own problems, and those problems are just as bad, if not worse, than some of the problems I had with the first game. Here's how Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two, which you have to say the whole name. Here's how it works. This game was built around a co-op system where in the first game, you play as just Mickey, you're going around doing Mickey's shit. And Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit, is like your player 2 in this sequel, where now you can have the first player play as Mickey, second player plays as Oswald. Here's the thing. I'm obviously playing this game by myself. I played the first game single player. Obviously, it was a single player game. I figured surely this game is built to understand that there are going to be people who play this game single player, and there has to be a system in place for it. And the good news is there is. The bad news is it sucks. The thing with Epic Mickey 2 is, The Power of Two, that is, Oswald is controlled by the AI. See, I was hoping that maybe there would be a system where you could switch between Mickey and Oswald, because here's how it works. Mickey, much like the first game, uses the paint and thinner method exactly the same way as it did before. One thing to note is that the control has been vastly improved in this game. I felt like it controlled a million times easier. Now, maybe I had just gotten used to it from playing the first game and it was an easier learning curve for me this time, but I felt like overall I had very few instances where the control was the problem. No, do not take that the wrong way in thinking I didn't have problems, because that's where Oswald comes in. So the way it works is, since the game is built around co-op, Oswald is played by the AI. The AI does what it wants. See, the way the game works is there are certain puzzles that can be solved by Mickey and certain puzzles that can be solved by Oswald. There's no other way around it. You have to do it that way. In a co-op experience, I'm sure it would be fun to be like, oh, you got to do this and I got to do this. But when the AI is playing as Oswald, it does whatever the fuck it wants, and you have a very little control. You can press. Real quick, I wanted to mention I played the Wii version of this game. Dude, I thought this was a Wii exclusive. I know the first game was a Wii exclusive, so I thought, oh, this one is definitely a Wii exclusive. No. It's on PS3, Xbox 360. It's Wii U for some reason. I played the Wii version because that's the one I have, and I didn't realize. Maybe it would be better on other consoles. I don't know. But on the Wii, you can press the minus button, and it will basically clue Oswald in to do something, right? Hopefully do what he's supposed to do. Now, sometimes he will listen to you, and those times are great. Other times he doesn't. For whatever reason, if he's too far away from you, if he doesn't fucking want to do anything today, he'll do whatever the fuck he wants. And you are just kind of left there to jump around mindlessly, run back to him, run back to where you need to go, hopefully cluing in the AI to what you need to do. And that was 99% of my time with this game, was just desperately begging this goddamn rabbit to do anything. Please, God. The game is broken up into 3 parts, basically 3 different chapters, and the number one thing I can praise this game for is the fact that it is vastly shorter than the first game. If you remember in my review, the first game basically played out its 8 or 9 hour campaign and then basically asked you to go through the whole campaign again very quickly, which added many hours of extra time that was going through the exact same shit you've already gone through. I thought this was such an unnecessary element to the game, and I can thankfully report that this game completely cuts that part out. It's basically the same length as the first portion of the game. It's like, I don't know, 8 hours, 7-8 hours, and then that's it. So it's just these 3 chapters, and that's it. Now, as far as the 3 chapters go, I have to commend them because the first 2 chapters I thought were pretty well done. Great pacing. Again, like what it asks of you is not too bad. The whole like paint thinner system, which was a lot of the first game was built around, basically this choice system, if you recall, where you can either choose to paint things and it's kind of in a positive light, or you can thin them in a negative light. It gives you the option to choose, and it impacts the story as well as the ending specifically. This game has the same system, but it's much more streamlined. There's only 3 bosses in the game, so you only have 3 opportunities to make that decision. There's a couple of side quests, but there are way less of them that impact the ending of the game as far as what you choose to do. And even some of those, I don't even know if painting or thinning makes a difference. It's just a matter of whether you finish them or not. But those first 2 chapters, I felt like they really nailed the core gameplay and what made the game fun to begin with, AI aside. The last chapter, though, I cannot say the same. That last chapter was brutal. It ramped up the difficulty like an NES game. It was no fun. A lot of repetition from the first game, weirdly enough. But without spoiling anything story-wise, in the last chapter, you tend to go through a lot of the same areas you went through in the first game as a callback, but in less of a obnoxious way. I mean, it's not like you have to do every single thing the same. It's just a lot of the areas are the same and similar setups, but usually easier solutions in this one, which is good. But I have to admit, towards the end of the game, the AI just fucking shit the bed. Oswald had been getting worse and worse as the game went on, but like at one point there is a boss fight you have to do. It's not really a boss fight, it's a mini boss, which is a callback to the first game. And that fight in the first game is a huge pain in the ass. Like it is such a fucking pain. You have to fight these 3 robots. They keep respawning. It sucks. But in this game, the AI just stopped fucking moving. And at one point, like all of them just like stood still. And like I just went up to them and sprayed them and killed them. And that was the end of it. Like they literally shut down as if they were real animatronics. But that was not supposed to be the case. Look, I can't say much more than what I have because this game is so similar to the first game, but they ironed out a lot of the bullshit. They fixed a lot of the controls. Story's fine. I actually think the story of the first game is a little bit better, but they were trying to obviously incorporate a lot of the same elements and characters. And it's funny that this was kind of the last thing with this, especially because it just felt like they had established something with these games. Like they wanted to make a franchise out of this, and other than these 2 games, I know there was a handheld version, but that was it. I mean, that's the end and never again to be heard of. So in the sense that this is such a oddity, especially like I think I said the same thing when I played the first game, like the idea that this game even exists is such a rarity nowadays and would probably never happen again. I think in that sense it's interesting and deserves a spotlight. But and the fact that Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2, improved on basically everything from the first game. Unfortunately, it added a lot of stupid shit, like this entire reliance on this broken-ass AI. But again, I mean, if you play the game co-op, maybe you'd have a different experience, and maybe it would have gone a lot smoother. I can't really say. So, as far as the game goes, I like a lot more in the first one, but I'm good on Epic Mickey for a while, probably the rest of my goddamn life. Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2 is in the trash, and we're moving on. Thank God.